this. We really appreciate all of you. A lot of the faces I know, a lot of the faces I don't. So thank you so much, everybody. And here's Kevin and his dorky jokes.
You're not listening. This will be farce. What? Keep going. You're doing great. Okay, how's everybody feeling? Need a little stretch? Arms up wide. God, you guys are sure ready to do this. Oh, thank you. All right, our final comedian for the night. This young fella has been a part-time comedian for 15 years. He finished twice. I should probably complete that. He twice finished in 4th place in the Acme Funniest Person Festival. I want you to give 3 cheers to Atul. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip.
All right, so we're ending the evening with the Indian with the easiest name. And I think the easiest accent too. Well, so how are you all doing? Good. How are you individually? Are you good? All right, great. How are you? Good. See, I care about each and every one of you. So after the show, you can tell me how you're doing if you want. Nobody asked me how I'm doing though.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. But then I stopped seeing my therapist and stopped paying for sessions, and I realized she doesn't really care about me. It's all about the money. But you know, comedy is better than therapy because it helps you forget about all your problems instead of like dwelling in all your problems and talking about all of them. And I think we're cheaper too. But yeah, how do you like this DEI crew of comedians? We don't need the DEI, but we are. But people always want to know where I'm from, and I tell them I'm from the land of one lake, Cleveland, Ohio. Lake Erie, beautiful shores of Lake Erie. But then people ask me, well, where are you really from, right? I know what they're getting at, so I say, well, I'm really from a suburb of Cleveland. That's not true. But I have an interesting story because my dad emigrated to Cleveland in the 60s, and there were only like 100 Indian people in the whole city back then. And my sister was already born, my mom came over a couple years later, my brother was born in Cleveland, and then they moved back to India, took a trip to Europe without me, because I wasn't born yet. And then I was born in India, and then the India-Pakistan war broke out, so they moved back to the US when I was 4 months old. That's when I lost my accent. I can still do one, but I don't use it unless it is absolutely necessary. Like when I want the tech support guys to understand me. Works out pretty well. But I actually lived in the Detroit area for 13 years before I moved here, believe it or not. And it's actually pretty nice, gets a bad rap. But you know, gun violence is pretty bad. So I had a solution. Since most people are shot by people they know, I just tried not to know people who had guns. And it worked pretty well. I mean, I wasn't murdered once. So I think that's a success. But I moved to Minnesota because I have an affinity for passive-aggressive people. And my favorite color is white. I would say if I didn't like white people, I wouldn't be living here, right? But you know, whenever I see a black person here, I miss Detroit. A little more diversity there. But you know, I'm from the Midwest because Cleveland's technically the Midwest, but it's different. It's the Eastern Midwest, whereas this is the Upper Midwest. And the way you can tell the difference is in the Upper Midwest, you call them parking ramps. In the Eastern Midwest and the rest of the country, we call them parking garages. But the big, you guys learned something today. But the big difference is we're active aggressive, we're not passive aggressive. So like we honk our horns at people, and we look you in the eye when we insult you. So I like joking about insults all the time. No, my name is Atul Patel, right? So people say Atul, So I've heard all kinds of jokes since I was a kid. You know, what kind of tool are you? Are you a hammer or a screwdriver? Because they can't say it right, Atul. You know? And it's kind of funny because I've developed a lot of nicknames along the way. It's everything from Utah, Tulio, Toolmeister, LL Tool J. Those are my favorites. But the best one is Excel Patel. Because I'm pretty good with computers. But I do not work in IT, just for the record. Never did. Never will. Well, my last name is interesting too because it's the most common Indian last name. So like here I got to spell it for people, but like in Detroit everybody knows how to spell Patel. And we're not all related, just like all the Nelsons in the crowd are not related. Just so you know, I'm not related to Dr. Patel either. So then you can get that. Yeah, but you know, it's interesting having that name. My parents were pretty progressive. They were in an arranged marriage, which is no surprise. But they were thinking of like hyphenating my last name, but then I would be Patel-Patel. They're not related. They're not related. There's just a lot of Patels to choose from to marry, and so that was interesting. But it's really embarrassing when I answer the security question because they ask your mother's maiden name, and I gotta say Patel, and I don't have time to do that whole spiel. But my name is kind of short and unimpressive, right? So I'm thinking of starting to introduce myself like they do on Game of Thrones. So I'd be Atul, son of Harilal, principal renter and defender of Willow Tree Apartments, 248, City of Minneapolis, State of Minnesota, United States of America, North America, planet Earth, solar system, Milky Way galaxy. Thank you. But the worst part about growing up was because my name was not common. You know, you go to state fairs or amusement parks, and all my friends would get those little license plates with their names on them. You know, but I couldn't because my name's not common enough. It was kind of traumatic. But what's interesting about my name is it's spelled out in the middle of the word congratulations. So take that, Aaron and Jenny. You probably lost your little license plates anyway. But congratulations lives on forever. My brother realized that at my graduation party. It was kind of cool. Save time on the sign. But my name actually means beyond compare in Sanskrit, I think, which is kind of interesting. And I've always had a complex about being unique. So that's why I like sobs, I like Android phones, and I like cold weather, even though I'm Indian. I would say like you can't take your skin off, right, when it's hot, but you can always put another layer of clothes on when it's cold. And that's my philosophy on that. So take it with it, whatever you want. But you know, I don't use nicknames because I want people to learn my name, right? And I've actually met people who've met other Atuls before. And if you Google Atul Patel, there's like over 250 in the US. So I use my middle initial a lot. Or my Game of Thrones name. Let's see. But one other thing about me is that I don't eat like the others because I'm philosophically allergic to meat. So I'm a vegetarian. Well, probably not that. Usually at least 5 people get that joke. But no, I mean, it's funny because I hear it from both the vegans and the anti-vegetarians, because I'm vegetarian. And vegans are annoying, I get it, but the anti-vegetarians are vicious, you know. They're always like, what do you eat? Lettuce? You know, how do you get your protein? You know, that kind of bullshit. It's like, because my ancestors, as far as we know, going back, have been vegetarian, so you couldn't survive on just vegetables and dairy, not even eggs. That wouldn't exist, you know, so there's something for you. I'm giving a lot of lessons today. I'm dropping lessons and making statements, so bear with me. But no, so they make fun of us, you know, because you know, they call us soy boys and stuff like that. But scientifically, it's been proven that vegetarians have lower incidences of erectile dysfunction than meat eaters. So there it is. And I also don't eat the other kind of meat, which is why I'm a vegetarian. Let's see. But I think this whole obsession with protein has gotten out of hand. Like, you ever watch that show Naked and Afraid? they're always focused on like chasing the most poisonous, deadly animals to get some protein. And it's like, okay, if you just like take that fruit, eat some seeds, maybe some roots or some nuts, you get a little protein. And a lot of the anti-vegetarians always tell you that joke, like vegetarian is an Indian word for bad hunter. You know, so I always say meat eater is an Indian word for a person who's stupid enough to chase their food. I like to come back. I'm not taking it as a vegetarian for all these anti-vegetarians anymore. Bullshit. Plus, they're insulting my culture, but whatever. But no, I'm not a big fan of hunting, as you might have guessed, because I don't think it's fair that the hunter has a weapon, right, but the animal doesn't. I suppose hand-to-hoof combat would be fair. And if you're going to hunt, at least do catch and release. You know, I think that's fair. Yeah. That's a fishing analogy. But because I'm Indian, I do get racially profiled all the time. Like at restaurants, people pull me aside and make me figure out their tip. It's not very nice. I'm not doing it today. And then, even though I'm a very good driver, even my friends don't believe that because I'm technically Asian, right? So they don't let me drive anywhere. But the good thing is I do get to become the designated drinker. So you should try it. And when I fill out forms that ask for my race, I get tired of checking the box for Asian or Pacific Islander. I think Indians deserve our own checkbox because we're different than East Asians, like Chinese or Japanese people. We win spelling bees and we suck at the Olympics. Should I tell you my true life spelling bee story? So I was in the spelling bee in 7th grade, made it to the districts, and then I kind of fizzled out in the regionals. But in 8th grade, it was me and like 35 other people on stage, hundreds of people watching us. And I was sitting near the front, and I just kept spelling words. And before I knew it, it was me and this one other girl, just only 2 people left, right? I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I got the word cursey here. Does anyone want to guess how to spell that? It's a type of fabric. Okay, well, I spelled it C-U-R-S-E-Y-M-E-R-E. Heard the bell, I was wrong. Then she spelled it right and then spelled Pasqueflower, which is easy. Come on, everybody knows Pasqueflower. So she won the spelling bee, and I won a TV, and I didn't have to study anymore. She won a set of encyclopedias, had to study more, and I used that TV all through college. But this is a funny thing. I was in middle school at the time. They gave me a plaque for representing the school that said, Atul Patel, outstanding representation for North Hudson Middle School. They spelled representation wrong. But here's the even crazier thing is that it was 1985, because I'm old, and that was the first year an Indian kid won the spelling bee. So it could have been me if I stopped playing video games on our Commodore 64 and listened to my mom to study more. So that's kind of crazy. So I'm kind of a celebrity. But spelling's a useless skill now. It's kind of crazy, right? It's kind of sad. But yeah, so I think there's interesting thing that happens when you're American and not white. Like people think you're not American. And those are people who say things like, this is America, why don't you speak English? Well, if you want to judge Americanness based on English skills, then you can look at my ACT verbal scores, and I'm a hell of a lot more American than those guys. And I think there should be a prejudice policy where, you know, if a community provides something, like an ethnic group or a race, if you're prejudiced against that group, you don't get the benefit from what they provide, right? So if you don't like Mexican people, there's no Mexican food for you. Or as we brought up last time, any food for that matter. That was a nice ad that somebody said in the crowd. And then, you know, if you don't like Somali people, then you don't get to ride Uber and Lyft. If you don't like Asian guys, there's definitely no tech support or apps on your phone. You know, it's only fair. That's all I'm saying. But I have become a victim of cancel culture lately. My social media handle is Haha Masala. That's true, so write it down. But Facebook won't let me use it because the letters in the middle spell the last. which is crazy. They actually think I'm a terrorist, but I can't be a terrorist. I'm a vegetarian, and I can't even kill a spider. And besides, I want to advance in my career, and successful suicide bombers never get promoted. That's kind of sad, but true. Let's see here. But yeah, I'm getting older, because I'm still alive. And that's my most profound statement ever. And I come from a time when phones were phones, watches were watches, right? Cameras were cameras. Like, I don't even try to explain to the younger generation things like film photography and like corded phones and other crap like that. I forgot. Oh, long distance phone calls. That's the other one. That concept just escapes them, right? But I have an uncle. I have two nephews and two nieces, and I started feeling older when my older nephew picked me up from the airport when I visited my family in Cleveland, and then I started feeling even older when my younger nephew picked me up from the airport, right? And now my older nephew has laughed at me, like he's married, has a house and a kid, and so I've been really left behind. But at least I'm not like a cool uncle. I screw that joke up royally. I am a cool uncle. Just ask him. I'll bring him here next time. Sorry, I screwed that one up. Let's see. But no, when I played my younger nephew in Mario Kart as a kid, he always beat me. Like, he couldn't even read. He was like 5 years old, and he beat me in Mario Kart, figuring out the 8 different buttons, right? And I'm like, how does this kid beat me in Mario Kart? And why is this harder than real driving? So I asked his mom, like, can I compete with him in real driving to show who's boss? And she never let me. Because again, I'm a good driver, right? Let's see. Let's see. So I don't like this whole gender reveal party thing. I think it's kind of overdone. And besides, Mother Nature invented it 200,000 years ago. So what happens is the baby incubates in the womb, whatever you want to call it, and then comes out with his genitals exposed. And surprise, it's male or female, right? And like nothing catches fire, nothing explodes. So I think it's the natural solution that we should all stick with. It's still a surprise, right? And then I have had this idea for a long time that there should be parental movie ratings, right? When you watch a movie with your parents. You want to avoid those embarrassing. So I came up with a system. So like, rated E means embarrassing, you know. Rated, I had this, I forgot what it is. Yeah, the rated B is like really embarrassing, and you know when you can't even like look them in the eye. And NT8 means you can't even talk to them for 8 hours. You gotta like stay in another room because you're so embarrassed of what your parents might have learned from that movie. I think it's a good idea, right? I think you should do that. But does anybody here not drive a Subaru? I've been here long enough. I lived through the Prius plague that we had for a while. Now we have the Subaru Scourge. I don't know if they're reproducing or what, but apparently like Subarus are not just for lesbians anymore. But I think it's funny how Subaru owners can be like the most smug, middle-class owners of vehicles in the world. Like they think they made the perfect decision, and everybody else's vehicle is crap. It's kind of am I right? I don't know. What really irks me are all those full-size pickup trucks on the road. I'm probably going to offend some people, but you know, there's all these full-size pickup trucks on the road that are being driven by bullies, rebellious first singles, carried with empty beds, right? And a lot of those pickups are like garage cleaners, right? Without a scratch on them. It's kind of funny. And the problem is, here's the problem. They're spending hundreds of dollars on gas every week, and that means that's less money to donate to the Trump campaign. I'm sorry, I mean the Trump Legal Defense Fund. Sorry. And those off-road pickups are the worst, because like they jack them up, and then they put the sport exhaust on them, right, and pretend to go off-road and all that. It's kind of funny. I'm in Trump, I'm sorry. I used to work for GM's full-size truck powertrain division. That's probably why I got fired. It was just a contract job, though. But I'm not sure that you could be a good person if you don't use turn signals. So it's very inconsiderate, isn't it? It's like, I'm in my lane. You gotta ask permission to come in my lane with turn signals, right? So I've come up with a way to retaliate. If nobody else is around, I'll use the opposite turn signal and we're in front of them. Equally as inconsiderate and only slightly less safe. But the other thing that kind of irks me, how much time I got?
4.
All right. That's the beautiful compliment. Thank you. You guys have been great. I want to thank you for coming out, supporting local live comedy. We appreciate it. Yeah, for Lana and the crew, we did a great job. It's our second show. We're making this like a monthly thing. So we'll try to mix it up with different themes. Like we're going to have a women's comedy night. We might have LGBT or nerdy humor. Do you have any nerds in the audience? Yeah, exactly. So we'll mix it up. So it's not just like the same old comedians with the same old jokes, right? But yeah, it's funny how people have pets. You know, that's the only way to really get attention or to get anybody to talk to you, right? I get kind of jealous because I don't have any pets. So I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says "My dog survived cancer." And then maybe people will start talking. It's not even a real dog. It works. It works already. We're gonna order that tomorrow. Everybody's so worried about white privilege, right? But what about pet privilege? I mean, seriously, they get to like eat, sleep wherever they want. You know, they get to shit wherever they want. Dogs get to lick any random person. Humans don't get to lick any random person. At least with humans, you know they weren't licking their ass 30 seconds ago. With dogs, you do not know if that's true or not. Right? But I always, and then the other thing is like, you have these emotional support animals, right? And it's like, why do they get free flights just because they're emotionally supported for their owners, right? It's like, what about emotional support humans, you know? Tucked in the seat for free flights. I'm a little too busy now. Especially as a vegetarian, I'm a big vegetarian, sorry. I haven't even drank that much, so it's funny. But let's see. And the other last thing I'll say about pets is that the smartest dogs are the ones that don't do tricks. Think about it. They're gonna get fed anywhere. They're gonna get snacks and treats. But is anybody concerned about AI taking over the world? Yeah. Has anybody used it lately? Yeah. What have you used it for? Literally anything. Okay. That's good. So then it's kind of replaced you? I'm concerned. No, but I mean, some people think it's going to take over the world, right? AI, but I don't think it will because it's still relatively young. Like it's still a teenager. So I think eventually it's just going to start tuning out and listen to earbuds and just ignore everything you say. Being motivated. I think we're okay for a little while. But I feel kind of guilty when I use AI because it's like so willing to help you and I feel like it's like an information slave, you know. I feel bad when I use it. And I don't know how polite to be to it. Is it going to give me better answers if I'm more polite? And I'm just like rambling, I apologize. But I am worried about our jobs though, for the AI. It's only comedy. I don't use it to write jokes, but I get some help once in a while. Better than a therapist and cheaper. And I'll end with this. It's really kind of a corny joke, but I think there's a conspiracy because whenever you're looking for paper clips, you find safety pins. When you're looking for safety pins, you find thumbtacks. When you're looking for thumbtacks, you find rubber bands. Right? It's kind of annoying. That's a horrible joke to end with. Let me end with some dating jokes. How about that? You guys like dating jokes? All right. Well, women, KJ talking about women liking guys with a sense of humor, but that's complete bullshit. Because if that were true, like the hottest models would be dating the funniest comedians, and that ain't happening. I've never heard a woman say, "Talk funny to me, baby." I'm leaving you for a funnier man. It's rough being a guy dating because we don't get the benefit of those acronyms like BBW, big beautiful woman. right? I think guys should get SHM for scrawny, handsome man. That's fair. And then women get called strong, independent women. Well, why can't guys be weak, dependent men? But this is where you start dating me, right before we end up. I do have some rules for dating. I only date older women because I already know what they'll look like when they get older. And I got it, oh my God. And I date divorced women because at least I know somebody wanted to marry her. And it gets worse because the alimony helps pay for dates too. This is one that really makes people hate me. So I thought of different dating app ideas because Bumble, I haven't had much success on Bumble. So I came up with apps that are inspired by Bumble. So there's one called Dumble. That's one for people that only respond in like 2-word answers. Then there's Rumble. That's for violent people. Like, it's just good to know ahead of time. Right? And then Cumble is a fun one, which doesn't require any but my favorite one is Humble. And that's for women who don't all think they're 10s. Oh. But yeah, right. Or my best friend. I only know one perspective, but I'll end with these two. These are better than that other paperclip joke. I apologize. I'll talk to the writers. AI. No, I'm just kidding. No, so I'm getting older, and when I look at a woman, I don't even notice her body much. I look at her ring finger to see if she's married. It's led me to have like a fetish, a naked ring finger fetish. That lack of sparkle really turns me on. And I've also, as I've gotten older, I've given up on casual sex and switched to formal sex instead. I send out invitations, nice paper, and fancy envelopes. And it's great when 3 women RSVP yes for the same night. And I'm always really polite because I say, thank you, come again, and again. All right, thanks everybody. It's Atul Patel.